Okay. Welcome to the My Career, My Calling podcast, a voice of hope for people of faith in the marketplace. This podcast is brought to you by the Marketplace Missions Movement, a not-for-profit organization supporting Christians seeking to identify, develop, build, and expand their ministries and calling into the marketplace. The movement is seeking to empower, build up, and activate believers for authentic and impactful participation in sharing the message and love of Jesus Christ and demonstrating the principles of the kingdom of God in their workplaces and through their professions. Meet our moderator, Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Larty, a well-rounded public health professional, researcher, author, strategic leadership advisor, gospel musician, and spiritual leader. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the My Career, My Calling podcast. Please stay tuned as we bring you another inspiring discussion to help build you up on your purpose-driven journey in the marketplace. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning from Sydney, Australia, and welcome to you wherever you are joining us from. I am so delighted that you are here with us today, and I'm looking forward to spending this time with you. Well, as you know, this is Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Larty, and I'm your host for today. Today, I have a really special guest that I will be bringing to you as we share on a very important topic. Now, I want to invite you that before we start, please invite a friend, share this link, invite someone to come on because today we're going to be talking about, breaking through in your career. I have got a very special guest who is an expert in this area. And, my guest and I will be speaking to you about something really important that I believe will help you. Now, if you don't need this information, it doesn't mean that somebody else doesn't need it. So what I'd love for you to do is to share this link and invite someone. Also, please drop in the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. All right. So I just want to take this opportunity to give you a very warm welcome to our podcast series in My Career, My Calling. Now, you may be asking me, why my career, my calling? I believe that every single person has this God-given purpose that was designed and wired inside of them before they were even born. And part of that is to fulfill your life's purpose, right? And so oftentimes we do this through our careers. And I believe that every person needs to have the right tools and strategies to help them succeed in their career. So, what I love for you to do today is to set aside about 45 minutes as we go through this very important conversation. As I said, welcome, welcome. Please drop in the chat and let us know where you are joining us from. I am joining you live from Sydney, Australia, and I believe that we're going to have a wonderful time together. So, I'm going to give you just one more minute to invite someone to join you as we go through this. I'm going to play a quick video to introduce what we are doing here, even as I give you an opportunity to share and to tell us where you're joining us from. And then I'll go right into introducing our very special guest. All right. So I will play a video for you and I'll give you a minute to invite someone. All right. So enjoy this video. Welcome to the My Career, My Calling podcast, a voice of hope for people of faith in the marketplace. This podcast is brought to you by the Marketplace Missions Movement, a not-for-profit organization supporting Christians seeking to identify, develop, build, and expand their ministries and calling into the marketplace. The movement is seeking to empower, build up, and activate believers for authentic and impactful participation in sharing the message and love of Jesus Christ and demonstrating the principles of the kingdom of God in their workplaces and through their professions. Meet our moderator, Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Larty, a well-rounded public health professional, researcher, author, strategic leadership advisor, gospel musician, and spiritual leader. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the My Career, My Calling podcast. Please stay tuned as we bring you another inspiring discussion to help build you up on your purpose-driven journey in the marketplace. All right. Welcome to My Career, My Calling podcast. This is the first in a series that we will be looking at your journey through the marketplace. What we are planning to do is to provide tips and insights to help you to make your career successful. And what we're really hoping is that you will engage with us, and we're looking forward to sharing this time with you. Now, as I said before, we have a very special guest with us in the studio today. And before I introduce my guest, I just want to say thank you to those of you who are joining us. Welcome to those of you who are watching us live from the Solomon Islands, from Australia. Come on, please drop in the chat and let us know where you're joining us from. And before I bring my guest on, please just take 1 second and share this on your platforms and invite someone. Just copy the link and share it and invite someone. We've got some very valuable and useful information for you today. Welcome, Josephine May, joining us live from the Solomon Islands. It's great to see you, Millicent, joining us live from Kingston, Jamaica. Welcome to everyone on the various platforms. And we're looking forward to spending the next couple of minutes with you. So, as I said, drop in the chat where you're joining us from as we go through this. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time here. So let's get straight into it as we welcome our audience, as we welcome our very special guest who is joining us today. All right. So at this time, I would love to introduce you to a very special guest who has joined us online for this very important discussion. As I said, we want to equip you with the tools and the strategies to help you to succeed in whatever area you are called to do your work or your business in the marketplace. You see, many people struggle with breaking through in the marketplace. They struggle to find the right job, or to some people become stagnant in the workplace, and what they need are strategies. And so today I've got a very special person here who has joined me for this discussion. All right, so please help me welcome Mrs. Jennifer Williams, who is joining me live from Kingston, Jamaica. Jennifer, welcome. It's
Thank you
so good
so
to
much,
see you.
Stephanie. I'm happy
All
to
right.
be sharing this space with you.
Awesome. I am so delighted that you have joined us here today. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation that we will have together. Now, some of our audience are joining us from around the world, and they're here to really listen to us to hear the conversation we're going to have today. All right. So, Jen, before we get into the conversation, I think it's important that we allow you to introduce yourself. Tell people, give us a little bit of introduction to who you are and why why you are going to be able to help us to discuss the topic we are dealing with today. And our topic for today is, new job or career change. We're getting insights on what matters to recruiters. So, Jen, please, can you just introduce yourself to our audience?
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, good night, wherever you are. My name is Jennifer Williams. I am Jamaican and I live in Jamaica. I have both qualifications and experience in human resources, and not just human resources, but in the workplace as a whole. I have spent many, many years working, and as a result of that, I've encountered quite a number of situations and persons and issues having to do with human resources, having to deal with persons in the marketplace, having to deal with Christians and their encounter with the marketplace. I have a bachelor's degree in management studies. I have a master's in social policy, and I have a diploma in gender and development. In all of these areas, I have done some HR courses, I've done industrial relations, I've done HR throughout my studying um, career. And I also, in terms of my experience, I have spent many years in banking. I've also worked in the gender and development field, and I have done about 6 years as an HR manager. So between my experience and my qualifications, I think I can talk to you a little bit about the topic today as we move on and as we discuss.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Yes, I truly believe that you've got a wealth of experience that is going to be really valuable for our listeners today. And I really just want to say thank you so much for joining us on this platform. It's really important to me as an individual, as one of the values that I have is that we're sharing what we know with others. And
Yes.
especially today, where we see so many people struggling to break through and break free in their careers in the marketplace, you know. And I think before we start, let me just clarify this whole thing about marketplace, because sometimes people ask me, what do I mean by marketplace? So when I say marketplace, I'm talking about the combination of different um, areas in which people work or sell or exchange goods for services, or exchange goods and services for payment, or it may actually be voluntarily, right? There might not be any financial rewards per se, but you are benefiting other people. For example, if you work for a not for profit or an NGO, you're still in the marketplace because you're providing a service, even though you're not exchanging money for it. So when we talk about marketplace, that's what we're talking about. So if you hear me jump in and say marketplace every now and then, please, that's what I mean. It's anywhere you work or you provide a good or a service to others, right? Or you provide some kind of benefit to other people. No, today we are really focusing on the career side of things. Yeah. The professional side of things. Because I know many people are really struggling. Some people, Jen, are struggling to break free in their career. I have been there personally. All right. Where I felt it at one point that I've hit a glass ceiling. Yeah. And I know quite a few people have mentioned to me that they sometimes they feel stuck, that they can't really um, find the right job, or they've applied for all these different jobs, but they either don't get an interview, or they might get a job and a few weeks after they lose their job. So I really would love for you to help us understand this from a recruitment perspective, and then we're going to go through as much as we can. So what is, can you describe for me the recruitment process? What happens when you are, when people, when you, as an HR manager or as a business or as a company, when you want to recruit people, what is a, what does a process look like, and what is it that you are looking for when you want to hire people?
Okay, thanks. I must say, in finding the right person for a job, it's like you're dealing with a sieve or a strainer. So
Hmm.
at different stages, there is a process of elimination. And those of us who have gone to school, especially under the British system, would understand that most of what we do is a process of elimination in order to get to where you want to go. So, in terms of the recruitment process, we have we're trying to find the best fit. HR managers are trying to find the best fit for the company. So the recruitment process would start basically in ensuring that there is an available position. Akin to that, a job description is produced to describe the duties or to define the duties that that person would be doing if hired. And so, advertisement is done, an ad is prepared, and it is posted on whatever platform, and then persons would apply for these positions. Of course, some companies would have what we call shortlisting, or probably most companies, because whenever positions are vacant, several persons would apply, and sometimes it is only one position that is going to be filled. And so, with all those applications, there's a sifting taking place, and then there's what is considered a shortlisting. From the shortlisting, some persons would do what is considered a pre screening. So, we pre screen applicants from the shortlist to see if they are suitable for the position, because Stephanie, people write a lot of things on their resume or CV, and sometimes
Yes.
you talk to them, it doesn't match up to the person, and so we have to look beyond the CV now to see who are we dealing with. So having done, say, a pre-screening, you realize that there's a process of elimination. So you get to your real shortlisting. Those persons are invited for an interview, and that process sometimes consists of a panel, or depending on the organization and the structure, sometimes the panel could be two or three or four persons, or even more, depending on the level, of course. During that interview, it's like you're shopping, because we're talking about the marketplace now. So you're looking for goods, you're looking for services, but you're looking for the best fit. So one of the first thing that would grab you is how persons prepare themselves for the interview. So you look at them, what is it that they're wearing, right? If you're going for a construction job or something, it might be a bit different. But if you're going into an office space, you look at what they're wearing. How do they look? How impressive are they? Does that person grab me? Is the hair all over the place? Is the button one up here and one down there? You look at all of these things in terms of just the person. Then you look at the CV and you go through the CV, and there are a number of questions. First of all, you want to know who you're talking to beyond the CV, because a lot of people can be hiding beyond the CV. So you ask them a number of things. Tell me about yourself, and you listen to them. You allow them to talk, and when they talk, you get an idea of who this person is. You get an idea of their strengths and their weaknesses. You might even say to them, tell me a little about your strengths, tell me about your weaknesses. And so, in that conversation and dialogue, you learn a little more about the person. What is their emphasis? What is their focus?
Hmm.
What motivates them? So, these are some of the things that you would get from them in talking to them. You look at how they communicate. If it is a job that requires talking to people, talking to customers, communicating to people, you look at their English, you look at how they speak, or their language, how they communicate, how they portray themselves. Is it somebody that you would want to be talking to your customers or your clients? Then you also look at, you ask them a number of things. Why did they leave the past job? What would your supervisors say about you? What would your peers say about you? So it's like you're doing a background check, but you're actually, as it were, feeling them out to see who they are. If I were to check your supervisor, what do you believe your supervisor would say? Because in the long run, you might have to send a background check to that supervisor anyway. So these are some of the things you look for. So you conduct the interview, you ask them about their background, you ask them things about their job, and first of all, you have to find out um, from them. And I'm gonna just backtrack a little. Sometimes people apply for a position and they don't do their background check. They don't know anything about the company to which they have applied. They don't know anything about the position. So it's very important that persons who are being interviewed know about the position, they know about the company. Because if you're applying to a company, you must take the time out to show interest to say, I this company is in Brick Lane, and they started in 19 when, and they so and so they have 12 branches. All of these things are important to the recruiter because they want to know that you have studied their company, you have looked at the background, because this is a company that you want to come in. You don't know anything, or you just send in an application. So we ask them things and we look at their skills, we look at their response. And if they have to think too long and fabricate the questions and all of that, you wonder if they are really ready and fit and suitable for the job. So you also look at their crossover skills, because some
Mm-hmm.
persons, um, when they are young, they don't have a lot. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
understand the older they are and the higher the position is, they should be
Mm-hmm.
able to have some kind of crossover skills so that they would be able to fit here or give an advice in this area or assist
Yeah.
the company in this area. So a crossover skill is very important for the younger
Now,
one.
Jen,
Yes.
sorry, I want to interrupt you because I'm really interested in these crossover skills and I'm going to come back to that. But you said something earlier about, you know, their interest in the company, which I think is so important. And I've been in interviews where they've actually asked me, why do you want to work for our company? So I'd like to ask you, why is that so important? Why is it important for me to be able to explain why I want to work for a particular organization? And why is it important for me to have a bit of background understanding of what this organization is? Can you touch on that a little bit more before we proceed to the skills?
Okay, thank you. Because this is where you want to position yourself. And the
Yes,
interviewers want to satisfy themselves that you're not just applying for a job, but you really have an interest in the job and an interest in the company. Because we also ask them, of course, do you have other applications out? Have you applied anywhere else? And they will tell you. And in my interviewing experience, I've asked people about the job and they say, oh, I sent an application here or there, and I did not even remember that I sent one to you. That would demonstrate to us that you're really not interested in the company. You want a job, yes, and we know you want a job, but you also should demonstrate to the interviewers that you also have an interest in the company, that you have taken time out to do your little research, to do a little review, to ask a few questions about the company so that you don't come to the interview blank. It shows your interest. So, in the long run, when we say to you, why is it? Because that question will come up. Why is it that you want to work for this company? And they will tell you, I want to work for this company because we
mhm,
noticed that you are on the stock market, you're on the stock exchange, that you have done so and so, or you have been expanding, you have opened two more branches over the last X year, and you say, okay, this person really has an interest. They could be
interest.
fooling you, but they really
Yeah,
have done their research. You ask them,
that's
how
right.
long are we around, and they are able to tell you. So that is a check. Okay, they have done their
Yeah,
research,
that's
they've
so
done their
important.
background checks, yes, and so we can continue the interview.
Awesome. You know, this has actually happened to me once when I was in a state when I really wanted to. I just needed to do something extra. Like I just felt like I was in one of those state of flux, if you understand what I mean.
Hmm.
Yeah. And I remember I got an interview. Now, for me, getting an interview is not a problem. I have collateral. Yeah. But I was just sending applications here, there, and everywhere. And I remember I actually wanted to work for a Christian organization at the time. I was in that space. So I got an interview with this NGO, was one of the big ones. And do you know what happened? I actually just applied for the job. But I hadn't done my homework. And normally I do that. But for some strange reason, I checked the thing. I didn't check their location. And they were in this very remote area. So during the interview, they actually asked me, "Do you know where we are located?" And I said, "I saw the name of the place, but I have no idea where it is." And do you know, I really believe that this went again. Actually, they told me, they said, "Look, you're an excellent candidate, but we're not sure you're truly interested in working for
Mm-hmm.
us." Yeah. And I learned a very important lesson from that. Even though in the past, I have done that. Any interview for that one, it was kind of like I was fishing. Yes. And I really realized from what you've said that recruiters are keen to see if you're genuinely interested in working for them. So it's a really important point that is here. If you're looking for a job or you're changing career, it's important that you do your homework and understand the industry and the organization or the business that you're going to work for. It is a real important factor. Now you mentioned something that is something dear to my heart, and it's about you call it um the skills. I call it transferable skills. What is the word you use for it? What was the word you used?
Crossover skills.
The crossover skills. It is something that I've been teaching about, and I'm actually planning to run a whole workshop, a whole webinar on this topic very soon. It's something that I believe has been laid on my heart that it is the key to helping people who feel stuck in their profession or in their career. Now, tell me about these crossover skills. What are they, in briefly, and why are they so important?
Okay, the crossover skills are skills that you have in addition to the ones that you are actually using to apply for the position. So, say for example, you are applying for a position in accounting. It's
Yes,
very important that you should have some other qualifications along with that. It could be something in the digital area, or it could be something a little about HR, or it could be something about say you are in a loans company, a little
yeah,
bit about sales or something, but it's not something directly related to, but it is transferable in the sense that recruiters are looking for persons who, if a promotion comes up in another area, here is somebody, might be a trained accountant, but this person also has skills in another area, and we could also use this person. Or if somebody goes on leave, we'll be able to ask this person to work here as well. And so you find that when you have another skill that can be used, then it can help you. Let me give you an example. Recently, in an organization, somebody had applied for a certain position, and that person was really skilled in that area based on the resume and the outcome of the interview. But when the person came to the organization, in talking to the supervisor recognized that this person has more than she had displayed at the interview, and there was a vacancy in another area that the person has skills in, and within 2 weeks that person was moved to that area of skill because the organization needed the skill in that area and the organization was short, and within 2 weeks that person was moved, given a new job description, a new job letter, and also that person actually got more pay because when the person came in, the supervisor spoke to her, realized that she had crossover skills, and these skills were needed for the organization. And I saw the person up to recently, and the person was still in that position. So a crossover skill or crossover skills are very important because it means that movement within the company, those persons can also fit in. whether somebody is going on leave or whether somebody has resigned or whether there's a vacancy created in that space. You can use those persons. Not only that, but additional skills to what you are trained in are also very helpful because it can help you to teach others. It can help you to link your skills with the existing the other skills in the organization. And when you're looking for, say, somebody to promote, or you're looking for a supervisor, or you're looking for succession planning, these things help you in making wise decisions. Did I explain what you wanted? Did I explain what you wanted?
Yes, very, very much so. Can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you quite well.
Yes, it's very, very helpful, and I believe it's so important. But I want to ask you, you said that you check for whether they have any additional qualifications. Does it have to be a qualification, or could it be skills they have developed along the way? You know, soft skills like administrative skills or analytical skills. Yes.
Yes, you are correct. The skills are not necessarily the hard skills, the technical skills. You're looking for soft skills, for example, confidence.
Yes.
How confident does this person come across? Persons can be qualified, they may have the experience, but they're not confident. So you're
Confident.
looking
Yeah.
for confidence also in
Yeah.
how they express themselves, in how they want to go forward. You're looking for communication skills. And one of the
Right.
things that is very important now is the ability to communicate orally and in writing, because
Yes.
you must have been hearing about things coming out of North America and where they're saying the children are not reading anymore. And you find that we have a society that is reading less and less, and AI is doing a lot of things for us these days, and we have to understand that we're still dealing with human beings. And so recruiters are looking for persons who can communicate well, persons who can pay attention to details. And teamwork is very important. So whether you're working by yourself or you're going to be a part of a team, no man is an island and no man stands alone. And so you find that teamwork is going to be very important. So, one of the questions that we usually ask in the interviews, we ask the question, do you prefer to work by yourself or do you prefer to work in a team? And we ask them about teamwork because if you don't have a cohesive team working together, it can be very disastrous for the company. People quarreling and fighting and being very exact and drawing the line and not fitting in, and you don't get that sync and that mix of personnel that you'd want in any one department or in any company. It can ruin the company because
Hmm.
as an HR manager, you spend a lot of time doing conflict resolution when you could be doing other things, because these things they distract you in a way, and you spend hours just sorting out personality differences and conflicts, and this is a deterrent in a number of ways. So teamwork is very important, and embodied in what I just said is the whole thing of emotional intelligence. How can
Wow.
one manage the intelligence on the job? Do you flare up easily? You won't get that at the beginning, and you can ask questions and people will tell you, because sometimes they tell you, tell me, you'll ask them, tell me a time when you have had a conflict. We ask these questions. Tell me a time when you have had a conflict with either your supervisor or your peer, and how did you address it? And we want to find out from them the outcome. What was their input in terms of bringing about a solution? Sometimes it's good to say, or they'll say, I escalated. But before you escalate the problem, what did you do at your level to ensure that there's a resolution? What was your attitude in all of that? So we're still talking about soft skills, yes. So talk
Hmm.
about teamwork, talk about emotional intelligence, and you mentioned the whole thing of being analytical, because I find that the phones and the computers and the tablets are doing most of the work for people now, and so the whole analytical skills sometimes are not there. You're looking also for persons who are self motivated, because
Mm.
it's hard to have people in the workplace that you keep pushing. pushing. You keep pushing them. You keep pushing them. Yes, they are qualified in terms of their certification and they have the experience. They have worked here for the number of years that you are required, but they are not motivated. And so you have to ask them also about their level of motivation. What motivates you? And some
Mhm.
people will tell you, my dog, my child, my job. I'm the first one in the family to have a degree, first one in the family to get a job like this. And persons are motivated by different things. But with all of that that they're telling you, you also want to see some motivation that is job linked and job related. It's not just having a nice dog or a pet dog or something, but you also want them to tell you, but you don't tell them, but you want them to tell you that I am motivated by challenges. I'm motivated by hard work. I'm motivated when I have an issue and a problem and I have to go home and research it. Things like these you're looking for. But you're not going to throw out what motivates them now because they are who they are and their motivation is there. And you appreciate the fact that there are things that motivate them. So we're still talking about soft skills, motivation as well. And you're looking for flexibility.
Yeah.
Sometimes persons come to the job and they are very inflexible, very inflexible. They 9 to 5 or 8 to 5, and that's it. So you ask them things. Are you prepared to work on a weekend? You might not have weekend work, but something might crop up where they might have to come to the office on a weekend or something. You ask them things like these, and you don't discriminate because of person's religious beliefs. If they say that I am a Sabbath keeper or I am this kind of keeper and Sunday keeper, if there's such a word, you
Mhm,
don't
mhm.
discriminate, but you just want to see how flexible. And if
Yeah.
you take on such a person, you have to work with that area that they say, well, they will not be participate in. However, they should be able to offer an alternative. I won't be able to come on a Saturday or a Sunday, but if I can complete what I have to do in an extra hour or so, or if I can come in an hour earlier to do what I have to do so that the job is done. These are things that satisfy recruiters basically. They're looking for flexibility and how adaptable persons are because the workplace is something that they give you a time, but you know that sometimes you have to go beyond the time schedule and the call of duty. And these are some of the things recruiters are looking for.
This is so important. And I, as a manager myself, having been involved in so many different recruitments, I realize that those crossover or transferable skills are so critical. You know, just to say quickly, the job I'm doing currently, it's the title of my job probably has, uh, you know, it doesn't really match up with any of my qualifications. Yeah. This job is purely based on using transferable skills. And I absolutely love the job that I'm doing. But I actually realized some times ago that, when I'm looking for jobs, it's not just about the job title, but what it is that I will do in the job. So when I saw this job that I was, when I was on the market looking for a job, I saw the title and there was something about the organization that attracted me. So when I read the job description, I thought, oh, they are looking for somebody with my skills. But the name of the job is not basically my profession, but the skills they needed were exactly what I have, you know, and and every single day I go to work, I see the value of what I bring, and my managers, the senior people and the executive, they tell me all the time, you know, how much they value what I bring to the job. So it's really important for us to understand these skills. And as I said, I'll be running a workshop pretty soon, maybe next month, to really teach people how to do this. Right now, as we continue this conversation, I want us to move out of that initial recruitment and talk a little bit about, so now I've got the job, you've selected me, my references have checked out. You are satisfied that I have a fairly good track record in the marketplace, and now you've decided to hire me. Now, from personal experience, I know there's usually this kind of probationary period. What is it that happened when I enter into my job from this probationary period? And how are my values? How can my values, yeah, and this is a Christian podcast, so we really want to bring in some of the Christian principles, yeah, as an employer. What are some of the values that you're looking for in me and in terms of my performance and my behavior during that early, period of my employment?
Okay, you're employed and you are given a probationary period. Some people give 3 months, some give 6 months, but 3 months I think is kind of short for
Hmm.
persons to prove themselves. So during
Yes,
that probationary period, there should be a period of orientation as well, telling you about the company and its values, the value system, and its culture. Because every company has a culture, you're
yeah,
also um, being told about your department and the other departments and all of that. Now you have settled in your department. So orientation is very important because during the orientation period, decisions are made concerning your employment. You are being observed as to your punctuality, your attendance, your attitude towards work and people because you have gone through the system, the probationary, sorry, the recruitment, and you have convinced the recruiters that I am the best person for the job. But if you come on the job and you don't perform, and I've seen it, people come on the job and within that 6 months they don't perform, they don't live up because they are good talkers, they are good communicators, they have the qualifications, and they may have the experience as well, and that's why they were employed. But their attitude is poor, very poor attitude, and some people display very good attitude. So you have to look at attitude. You have to look at performance.
right.
Is this a person who can get the job done? Am I doing what my job description says? Am I doing what I was hired to do? So these are some of the things that you're looking for, and you may not be able to pick up the crossover skills during the interview, but when the persons are on the job as well, you're looking for those things, how helpful you are. I've seen people come into an institution and they are working and they finish their work, they look across to the other person. Can I help you do something? Or I've finished what I have. Do you have anything else more for me to do? Can I learn something else? And there are people who come into an organization and they express interest. That is a really a good quality in learning about others, in assisting others, and they're also displaying the other skills that you didn't even know that they had because it never surfaced during the interview. You're looking for persons who will go the extra mile and persons who also participate in extracurricular activities. This is very important because a number of companies now are recognizing that they have a corporate social responsibility, whether they are engaging in sports, they are giving something here, they are doing something there, and all of this is pro bono to the staff for the staff. But companies want to know that you have extracurricular activities and you're also involved in the things that you're doing and you're managing time as well. So they're looking for your performance on the job. They're looking for your attitude as it relates to work and people. They're looking for your attendance, your punctuality, any other skills that you may display. Are you prepared to go the extra mile? Are you involved in any other curricular, um, any other activities outside of work, and are you prepared to, if the company is promoting this on a Sunday or Saturday, whatever, are you prepared to go the extra mile to assist? So these are some of the things. We're looking at the work ethic, we're looking at team spirit, and we're looking at how motivated you are, and above all, integrity. Talking about Christians and in the marketplace, you're looking for persons with integrity. Because there are some people who come in, and if you don't have a digital system to record the attendance, they will come 8:45 and put 8:30. So you're looking for things like these, people who are honest and people with integrity. You can't follow a digital system, but you certainly can, if people are still recording manually, you can fool that system. And so you have to have ethics and you have to have integrity as well, and you have to be excellent. So that probationary period is a period of testing. You're testing the employee, but they are supposed to be working and giving back and showing themselves if fit for the job, because you're looking for the best fit. At the end of that recruitment probationary period, if all goes well, then that person will be given a letter to say the probationary period is completed, and you give them the next step, whether it's full-time employment or something else. If they fail in the probationary period, then you'll have to, if you feel that they still have something that you need and you can work with them, we do what we call a PIP, performance improvement plan. We put that plan in place where the supervisor would work with the team member to get that team member up to scratch, up to the level, and you give them a time, a shorter period. It could be 2 months, 3 months, and at the end of the 2 months, 3 months period, whatever they are lacking, then they are supposed to have made up for it. If at the end of that period they still have not come up, as we would say, to snuff, then most likely you won't be able to keep that person.
Wow, that is so good. And I actually had an experience which at the time when I went through that experience, I didn't like it at all. But I am very thankful that I was allowed to go through that experience. Because through my entire professional life, I've been what they call like a model worker. But after my PhD, I got a job in an organization. And it was the first time I was kind of breaking into this transferable skills kind of thing. And however, I think during the interview, they had over like hyped up they had under well, I don't know whether it's oversell or undersell the job. All right. But when I got into to that role, I think it was quite unclear what they wanted from me, because when I went to work and I started a lot of the stuff that they said that they wanted me to do, it wasn't even going in that direction. And then they asked me to do other stuff that was not included. Not that I didn't know what to do, it was this kind of misunderstanding of what was expected. So, of course, in that, I really excelled in certain areas, but I was struggling in some other areas because of a lack of understanding. And what happened to me, Jane, was there was an individual who ended up didn't like me and instigated this complaint about me. And so they were friends with my manager. And it so happened that I actually got placed in performance management. Can you imagine my shock and horror of me? That time I was about like already about 20 years in my professional life, or 18, 19 years, known as a model worker. All of a sudden, I found myself on a performance improvement plan. But I thank God that I humbled myself. So the complaint was that, based on the kind of person they saw of me at my interview, I wasn't performing to the standard that they expected, which shocked me, of course. Anyway, I was put on this performance plan, and in performance planning, the staff member has to, identify set goals and timelines to achieve them. Of course, I I they implemented my performance plan, and within 6 weeks, I basically shocked this organization because now I had a clear plan of what they wanted from me. The same person, my manager, said to me at the end of the I think it was 3 months. At the end of the 3 months, she said to me, "Now, this is the person we employed." Because what I did in that 3 months trumped everything before. And I said, well, you can clearly see and understand this. By this time, I had basically found my voice, and I was a bit more open to speak about how I felt. And I explained to her that at my interview and when I started the job, the way they orientated me, did not align with what they said to me in the interview. So I was confused.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, however, having had that opportunity to sit down and reflect on my job description and to plan what I was going to do, that's really what made me shine, because now I knew exactly what they expected of me. All right. So I think my personal experience has really taught me not to be afraid of a performance management plan or performance improvement plan, because it can help you. So what would that's my personal experience. Would you like to what do you think about that?
Yeah, that's a good thing, and I think what you did was really excellent. But before we get to that, I think that sometimes organizations and corporations tend to fool people. Like
Yes.
they offer you this job and they tell you, and when you come in, you find that it's not what they recruited you for. And so from the onset, for persons who are coming into any institution, insist on your job description, and any
Yes.
deviation from the job description, those deviations need to be brought to the attention of your supervisor, your manager, whoever they are, to say, okay, I was recruited and employed for that. I don't have a problem doing something else, but this is what my job description says. Am I working in this role, or is it another role, because this JD certain doesn't match what I am doing? So don't be afraid to seek clarification and to also express yourself. Of course, you have to do it decently, and the scripture says you have to do, let everything be done decently and in order. So you do it decently, you do it in order, but there's nothing wrong in saying to your manager, your supervisor, that this is my job description, but I find that this is what I'm doing. Can you explain to me why there's a deviation between the JD and the position that I am currently working in? It's perfectly normal to do that. They can tell you, well, we have the right to change, or we have shifted your position, but there must be something to say why that is happening. So you ask a question now about the PIP, and PIP can really push some persons to improve better, having a better understanding of the job and what is required of you actually can help you to improve. As a Christian, I think that's between the probationary period and if you have to get a PIP period, then this is the time when you need to shine. This is the time when you need to demonstrate Christ. This is the time when you need to exhibit integrity on the job and to show, well, Christ lives in me. And when you go to work, don't work for the boss, work for Christ. So you're gonna do your best. You're gonna work for Christ. You're going to see yourself working for the Lord. So it's very important to realize Christians, we are the salt of the earth. We are the light of the world. So the salt must be there to provide that flavor, and the light must come out. And um, we need to express empathy, and we need to express kindness as well. And we need to love the job and the people. The job might not be something you want to do, but show a love for the job. Do it with the best of your to the best of your ability, and show that I can do it. And at the back of your mind, the forefront, wherever in your mind, say, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And if you're a Christian, you have to trust the Holy Spirit every single day. You have to trust Him every single step of the way, because there's a song, I can't even walk without you holding my hand. And we have to understand that on the job, we can't do it without Christ helping us to get through. Right. So that's a little that I would want to contribute.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true, because I think a lot of people become so disenfranchised or become, disheartened when because I'm telling you the truth. I've been there, and it was quite a shock for me, to be honest, considering my track record up to that
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah.
And even though I was trained and I learned this in management, I'd never experienced it myself. So this was and I was very senior, in my career. This was after my PhD I'm talking about. So this wasn't even in my early career. But I'm grateful though that I now understand this, and I can appreciate the, how it works, and also if someone is going through it, to help them understand that this is actually a good opportunity to demonstrate those principles. And you mentioned about the Christian values, and I'd love for us to tap, just to touch, we're almost out of time. How can some of these Christian principles how can Christians use their values to help them advance in their professional pathway? When you are choosing a job, what can you do to demonstrate to people that you have something that sets you apart?
Well, I can draw from my own life and experience. And I'll just probably pull from one last place, the last place I worked. And actually, they called me to be there for 3 weeks, and I was there for almost 7 years. And I didn't even realize that I had so much influence on the team and the managers themselves. And at the end of the day, when I was leaving, that's the time I heard it before, but that's the time they were just pouring out everything to me because I worked well. I went beyond the call of duty. I assisted where I could. I applied my crossover skills, and also I introduced a prayer meeting to the management team because you have issues in the workplace. I said, well, we need to be taking these issues to the Lord, and that's one of the things they appreciated. Even the young lady who worked with me, she saw Christ. Even my faith in God. I remember there was something that they were planning, and there was something where the hotel was saying, no, you can't have it. And I said to her, don't worry, let's pray. And I prayed, and I said, no, you call this person and tell them that we are coming to this hotel to do our training. And she called, she told him, and it's a long story, but to cut it short, it worked. The young lady said about me, if I ever have a problem, I'm going to ask Mrs. Williams to pray. So I'm saying that show them that your God works.
Yeah.
People have called me with different issues, even HR matters, and I talk to them the HR way, but I say, can I pray for you? And I
Hmm.
pray. So I'm kind of mixing it now, doing my work, doing my job, but I'm bringing God into their situation. And they have appreciated it very much from management right down. And so don't leave out God. We don't have to go tell people to come to church, baptize everybody, tell them that I'm a Christian. Don't tell them, show it,
That's right.
demonstrate it. They will know that you are a Christian by your love, and that's what the song says. So we demonstrate Christ in a number of ways. We don't become quarrelsome and fighting and everything. Be kind, be gentle,
Hmm.
exhibit the fruit of the Spirit. You understand? And we all know the fruit of the Spirit, and we can use that even on the job, that people will know that we are different and we are set apart.
Excellent, excellent, excellent. This is so great. And we're almost out of time, and I've learned quite a few things here. Um, I, can you just summarize maybe 2 to 3 takeaway points for believers, especially because we are marketplace Christians here, seeking to enter into the marketplace, whether they're changing jobs or they're entering as a new graduate or they want to change a job or a career? What are some of the key takeaway points for them in terms of their Christian values, how they can use that to give them a divine advantage in the workplace?
Okay, thank you for that. Some key takeaway points I would say: be genuine. People
Yeah,
are looking for persons who are genuine on the job and with your peers. Always seek to exhibit a spirit of excellence,
yeah,
right? And excellence is the best you can do. Be excellent. As I said earlier, have integrity. Do the job well. Don't sleep on the job. Don't do half and leave half for the next day. All of that. Don't short circuit the system, and follow the rules, follow the regulations, show that you are a cut above the rest, be the best you can.
hmm,
Um, and if there are leadership skills in you, show it, because eventually they are looking for leaders, whether supervisor for the department or something. Yes, and they are looking for persons who they can use in the succession planning. All of these
hmm.
things are very important important. Be who you are, but above all, let Christ rule in your situation. Pray, trust Him, demonstrate the life of Christ. Don't go and fuss and quarrel and curse and carry on and behave badly. And people say, who she? She's a Christian? No way. So we have to demonstrate the life of Christ in everything. And listen to me, sometimes it takes certain amount of humbling, certain
Mhm.
amount of meekness, but out of that will come the purity of the Lord. The workplace is not easy, it's a very difficult and dangerous place to be. But as
Yeah.
we demonstrate the life of Christ through the hardships, through the suffering, through the things that we have to go through, like Christ, the Lord will strengthen us and enable us and equip us to come through. So that's my takeaway to you.
Wow, wow, wow. Mrs. Jennifer Williams. Wow, what an inspiring woman. And thank you so much for sharing your experience. This has been amazing. I sincerely appreciate all these great, beautiful nuggets that you have shared. And some of the key takeaway points for me personally is that recruiters are sifting to find the best fit for the job. So don't just rock up to a job interview any old how. Be that best fit that they are looking for. So you're going to dress yourself, attire yourself in a way that they will see the difference in you. And when you get there, make sure that you have done your research, you do your homework on
Mm-hmm.
the organization, and make sure that you can explain why you want to work for them. So do your homework. And of course, be prepared to demonstrate your crossover or your transferable skills. These are very critical and they can give you an extra advantage, even in terms of promotions, because businesses and organizations are always looking for someone who has leadership skill, especially when it comes to their succession planning. And of course, if you really want to stand out and tap into your divine grace that you have as a believer, then it's important that you are genuine. Be genuine about who you are. Let your integrity go before you. Exhibit the spirit of excellence. Do the job well and don't short circuit the business. Follow the rules. Be the best you that you can be. Make use of your leadership skills. And above all, demonstrate the life of Christ. And don't be afraid to be humble. It will take you a long, long way.
Amen.
Mrs. Williams, thank you so much. I really sincerely appreciate you for sharing these deep, deep insights into what someone can do. You know, how can Christians use their God given strength and grace and abilities to set themselves apart, to distinguish themselves when they go for a job interview or they're looking for a new job, changing careers, but even as we progress through our professional life. This has been a wonderful time, and I want to say thank you so, so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this in my Jamaican pattern, them say when things good it done fast. Yes, this has been such a wonderful time. As we shared with you the first in the series of a new job or career change series where we are empowering you how to be the best of what you can be by tapping into the divine grace that is available to you as a child of God. But even if you're not a child of God, these things work for you too. Yes. So if you are online, you're not a born again believer, but you want to be the best, follow these things and you will see how they can set you apart. Want to say a big thank you to those who have joined us on Facebook, on YouTube, and all the various platforms. Thank you so much for being with us today. This has brought us to the end of our podcast for today. I am Stephanie Fletchelati, and I would like to say, see you next time for another in the series of our podcast. To take you out, I'll just share this video one last time. Thank you, everyone, and join us next time. Please look out for our next in the series as we bring you more from my career, my calling. Until we see you again, I'm Stephanie Fletcher Lottie. Bye bye for now. Welcome to the My Career, My Calling podcast, a voice of hope for people of faith in the marketplace. This podcast is brought to you by the Marketplace Missions Movement, a not-for-profit organization supporting Christians seeking to identify, develop, build, and expand their ministries and calling into the marketplace. The movement is seeking to empower, build up, and activate believers for authentic and impactful participation in sharing the message and love of Jesus Christ and demonstrating the principles of the kingdom of God in their workplaces and through their professions. Meet our moderator, Dr. Stephanie Fletcher Larty, a well-rounded public health professional, researcher, author, strategic leadership advisor, gospel musician, and spiritual leader. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the My Career, My Calling podcast.